Detroit Den 313. Stephen Will, we are back talking that Detroit Lions football. Before we get started, you know what to do. Bang that subscribe button and don't forget the bell icon so you don't miss any of our new content. Steve, tell them what's happening, man.
Nothing's really happening. Something had already happened. We're a little bit behind, I guess, but we're going to talk about it. We're going to talk about some comments that Brad Holmes made on the Detroit Lions podcast, and I believe Fox 2 also was airing it on their YouTube page as well. But Brad Holmes, down in Florida, looked like he's somewhere real nice in this interview, like sitting outside with some palm trees and a nice looking suit on. Got
Owners
his press
meeting.
pass on. Yeah, so is that what it was? Owners meeting?
Yeah.
Okay. So he makes some comments on this interview saying, "This was my best free agency yet." How do you feel about that?
I agree with him 100%. I think he said it because he also went on to mention that he got all of the guys that he wanted, from a mainstream standpoint. So I'm assuming that's Amik. He mentioned going to get Carlton Davis. He mentioned that he wanted to get either Amik or Carlton Davis. And then, he ended up getting both of them. And then he mentioned wanting to get DJ Reader or be able to sign Zittler. And then he got both of them. So, and then of course he said first order of business was to re-sign Graham Glasgow. We did it.
Yeah, that was done within
the
the first 20 minutes.
Yeah, the moment free agency opened up, that was done. So I completely understand where he's coming from. I think it was a huge strides that he made, and I can't even imagine where this team would be if the whole who situation that we had to release didn't happen. But we are where we are. I have guys that I like in this draft, and I think that Brad shares that same sentiment. And I think we're in a good situation, man. But how do you feel about this free agency? Do you think it's our best one yet, or what?
I didn't until Brad kind of talked me into it. I really liked last year's free agency with C.J. Gardner-Johnson, Emmanuel Mosley, David Montgomery. I thought that was a phenomenal free agency. I know C.J. Gardner-Johnson and Emmanuel Mosley both got hurt, but before that happened, I was like, dang, like this is a damn good free agency. But then when he made those comments about how he got all my guys, I got all my guys, I didn't have to resort to plan B or plan C. Like all my guys fell to me. And then he was talking about DJ Reader as well, how conversations were going on at the combine with DJ's agent while they were in the booth or wherever they were. But talking before it even happened about, I'd say it was like a week or two before free agency opened, he was having conversations with DJ Reader's agent at the combine. And, he was talking about, hey, I think DJ would go good with Aiden Hutchinson, and the deal ended up getting done. So I didn't personally think so, but my mind has changed. If Brad Holmes tells me that these were my guys, this is what I had my eyes on, this is what I went out and got. Hey, I personally liked the free agency before, but now I'm completely sold. But I just have some questions about Marcus Davenport. But other than that, I'm perfectly fine with what's happened in free agency so far.
I was just about to say, we're talking about this free agent class, and we didn't even talk about Marcus Davenport or that. Quiet as it's kept, Emmanuel Mosley is part of this free agent class as well, re-signing him, which I think was an awesome free signing, man, or free agency signing. So I don't know, man. I'm with him. I think that it was absolutely lights out. I think that he obviously showed why he's the GM and we're podcasters.
Yeah, executive of the year for a reason, and you and I just left work like an hour ago
right. You know what I mean? We're like, hey, man, are you going to sign Daniil Hunter, or what are we doing? We going to go pay $1 million for Brian Burns? He's like, no, I'm going to go get 3 pieces, and I'm going to pay as much or less than what people are going out to pay for 1 piece. And
hats off to him. Special.
Yeah, hats off to him.
But, he said a lot of things in this interview. That's not just all he said. There's some stuff where I maybe I'm looking too far into it, and you were trying to talk me out, but I'm pretty locked in. I think Brad Holmes tipped his hand. So he later in the interview, as it keeps going, he had mentioned pro days.
Yep.
And I thought it was very interesting that he skipped Michigan's pro day to be at Alabama's. Now, Michigan's pro day is about an hour down the road from Detroit, and Alabama's is a solid flight on Sheila's private jet. So I found that a little interesting that he would go there when Michigan's sending 18 guys to the draft this year, and there's a lot of depth at that Michigan team coming into this year's draft. I thought that he might want to get his eyes on there, but when he said that, I started thinking, I personally think that Brad Holmes was down there because he's got his eyes on someone.
I get it, man. And I think that obviously he likes to recruit Alabama. That's no secret to anybody, but the bottom line is Michigan is 15 minutes up the road. I think that he's seen all of those guys probably multiple times. He said that he was at the Michigan Ohio State game. He also made mention to the fact that um, those his scouting team is always constantly out looking and searching and doing their due diligence. I guarantee that they know everything, you know. So I just don't think that is as big as a deal as you want to believe that it is.
Boy, this is a big deal. I'm telling you
Yeah,
right now. I'm telling you right now, hot take. Someone from Alabama is going to be a Detroit Lion in the first round.
I don't think.
I'm
Oh,
sold.
oh,
I'm sold. First round.
I don't. I'm not so sure, man. I don't even know that there's anybody that I love for the first round outside of Dallas Turner, and
Where's he play at? Where's Dallas Turner play at?
but he's gonna be drafted way too early for us to be grabbing him, man. In my
Is he?
in my
Is Brad
opinion,
going to get on the phone?
it just doesn't make sense to me. That pick to me doesn't make sense, man, because I also like Jared Verse and Latu. So at the end of the day, I wouldn't trade all the way up there to go get Dallas Turner when I could wait and still get a Latu or a Jared Verse. So I don't know. I just don't see it, man.
Just Chris Braswell, no respect. Terrion Arnold, Kool-Aid
I don't
McKinstry, just
I don't draft Chris Braswell at pick 29, and Kool-Aid McKinstry isn't the guy for me. As it stands right now, would I have a fit if we drafted him at 29? No, I'm gonna trust Brad. He's a good football player, but I just want the most bang for my buck at pick 29. And I think you still have some guys that are going to be the best at their position at pick 29. So when you're talking about those linebackers, you could potentially have the best linebacker in the draft, and Edrin Cooper still available at pick 29. You could have the best guard in the draft still available at pick 29. You could have, from an upside standpoint, the best wide receiver in the draft who could end up being Xavier Liggett. So at that position, man, and we talk about best player available that fits the Detroit Lions needs, I think that you got to go with that rather than just saying that I'm going to take one of these Alabama guys. But who knows?
does Brad Holmes use the University of Alabama like a farm system?
He does, man. I think that there will be a Bama player on the University of Michigan's team.
You mean
Or
Detroit
man,
Lions?
Detroit Lions team. You got me thinking about Michigan, but I think that there'll be a Alabama player selected by the Detroit Lions to be on the Detroit Lions team. But at the end of the day, I don't think it's going to be at pick 29. But hey, I'm not Brad, so who
Hey,
knows?
William, I never said it would be at pick 29. I said Brad Holmes is going to take an Alabama Tide in
Oh,
the
I
first
thought you.
round.
Oh, I thought yeah. Oh, okay, yeah.
That's what I was hitting at when you said Dallas Turner and he's out of our range. I said, I don't know, man. I think Brad's got something up his pocket because he just said he got every single one of his free agents. He got all the guys he had eyes on.
Yeah.
Now he chooses to go to Alabama's pro day. How many? I don't know how many pro people they had working out at their
Probably
pro
a
day.
million. Probably a
Well,
million.
realistically, in the past, yeah, but this year, maybe 12 that I can think of off the top
Yeah,
of my head
that's what I'm saying. A million. That's
versus
a lot of guys.
Michigan, 45 minutes down the road, 18 guys with value sprinkled all over the draft. He said, I'm going to go to Alabama, a team, a college that runs its program like a NFL caliber school. There's been many people on other podcasts. Derrick Henry, I remember he was on Bussing with the Boys one time and said, Alabama's training camp was harder than some of the training camps I've had in the NFL. He actually said that. So Brad knows they got a good program down there. I've got a history with drafting Alabama players. I'm choosing to go there this year over Michigan, who's in my backyard with loads of talent. I think he's leaving a hint.
Yeah, I mean, maybe he is, man. I'm not here to tell you you're wrong. I just don't think that it's that big of a deal.
It's a big deal, William.
I hope you're right.
It's a big
Like,
deal.
if you're telling me that I'm gonna wake up, man, day 2 of the draft with Dallas Turner on my team, do you think I'm not here to tell you you're wrong?
I tell
Please
you
be
what,
right. Please be right.
every now and then I get a little premonition into the
Yeah,
future. I wish they would be like 6 lottery numbers, but sometimes it's just purely football.
yeah,
I said the Detroit Lions going to play the Los Angeles Rams first home game, Ford Field history. Came to truth.
yeah.
I'm seeing the same thing. Brad
With Dallas
Holmes.
Turner,
I don't know if it's Dallas Turner. I
it's
want
no.
it to be. That would be my number one choice from the University of Alabama. But
If he trades up for anybody else
no,
on Alabama's team,
absolutely, yeah. If it's a trade, if I'm sitting there watching the draft and pick 12 or whoever's picking at 12 and it says that the Detroit Lions are now on the clock, it's Dallas Turner if he's still on the board.
oh,
But if we're still at 29, I think it could be Kool-Aid.
yeah, I don't. I don't know, man. I would be a little bit disappointed if we traded up to get Kool-Aid.
I don't want
I
no, I
would.
don't want to trade up to get Kool-Aid. I meant
Oh,
at
at pick
29
29. Okay.
if he's still available. Yeah, I don't want to trade up to get Kool-Aid either. But if he falls into our lap, I don't know. I don't what is it about Kool-Aid that you don't like?
It's not that I don't like Kool-Aid. It's nothing about his game that I don't necessarily like. It's just that I don't feel like he's elite. I feel like the two elite corners in this draft is Nate Wiggins and Quinyon Mitchell. That being said, I don't want to trade up to go get any other corner in this draft. I feel like there's corner value all over this draft. I feel like the corner that fits the Detroit Lions is Max Milton. He is the corner that fits the Detroit Lions. After that, are there other guys that can fit? I like Mikey Singer still for the Detroit as a fit for the Detroit Lions, how he plays the game. I like TJ Tampa as a fit for the Detroit Lions and how he plays the game. And then there's some corners that are later on in the draft. Pritchett from Auburn. He came on the
Had
visit
an
with
official, yeah, I was just gonna say had
yeah,
an official
and
visit.
ran a 4.3. He's the kind of guy that's underrated, but has some elite traits. He's a guy. I mean, hot take. I think he's probably gonna be a Detroit Lion.
Calvin or
But
not Pritchett, you're saying
yeah,
round
yeah,
two?
yeah. I think that I don't know if it'll even be round two, man. He's somebody that could slide because his film isn't anything crazy, but you can see like I said, those elite traits, and you can see that 4.3 on the film. I think that with some great coaching and some time to develop, he's going to develop into a guy that can play some solid corner time um in the NFL. But he needs some time to develop, which we have time to afford him. We have time to afford any corner that we draft time to develop. So I don't think that we're going to rush to draft a corner when we have Emmanuel Mosley, when we have Carlton Davis, when we have Amik Robertson. Like, why are we going to rush to draft? I guarantee, excuse me, we're bringing somebody in here in free agency, whether it's Gilmore, whether it's Xavier Howard, whether it's somebody that we haven't even mentioned yet. Um, we got Jackson from that got released by the Buffalo Bills. I mean, there's still a lot of corners out there, man, that are serviceable corners for the NFL. I don't think it's anything that we're going to rush and put pressure on. I think we're going to draft a dog, and I just think, man, Edrin Cooper is a special player, right? And not saying that we're going to draft Edrin Cooper, but I think the breadcrumbs that I've seen more of is the breadcrumbs that both Brad and even Dan Campbell mentioned in his same press conference at the owners meetings, that we have set ourselves up to be in a position to draft the best player available for us. So I don't think that it matters anymore. That's what he said about Zittler. He was like, okay, well, this is the last thing. And this is his words. This is the last thing that I feel like we really need to be able to put us in a spot where we can just go get somebody that's going to be impactful. And that's you get Edrin Cooper on his team is going to be impactful. Right? Whether it's immediately this coming season or just for seasons to come down the road, or just the same thing for a lot of these guys, the Chop Robinsons, the Latus, there's guys out there that are great football players, and maybe like Jack Campbell, everybody was wondering like, Jack Campbell's not even starting and we wasted this pick on him, and that's not what they're doing. They're going to draft a dog. And then eventually, whether it's this season, next season, or 2 seasons from now, he's going to go be a dog.
I'm glad that you said when you're talking about best player available. I'm glad you threw in that for us thing because you know my opinion on best player available. People look at you're sitting at home watching the draft on TV, and Mel Kiper's got his best player available up, and it's a quarterback. You think the Detroit Lions are going to take a quarterback in round one because it's the best player available? No, it changes. All I'm saying is there's a very very good chance I'm wrong, but I'm gonna I'm taking a stand.
I love it.
I think that Brad Holmes went to the University of Alabama to get a look at Dallas Turner and Kool-Aid McKinstry, who did not work at the combine, so he did not get to see him. I think he chose to go there for a reason over the University of Michigan, who's in his own backyard again with loads of talent, 18 players at the combine. He said, "I'm good there. I want to go scout these Bama boys." I want to get a firsthand look. This is a program I have history drafting with. This is a program that set his stuff up like an NFL college, I guess, like a farm team, like I said, for the last 15 years since Saban's been there. Like it's just been an NFL factory. There's a probably 80% chance I'm wrong, But I think him choosing that over Michigan says a little something. I think it's either Dallas Turner, Kool-Aid McKinstry, who he didn't get a look at the combine because he left with that foot injury, that whatever that break was in his foot, and still went out and ran a 4.37, had surgery the next day. So I think he wanted to get his eyes on those two guys in particular. Just a guess. I'm probably going to be wrong, but it actually would be the first time I've ever been wrong. So I guess I'm willing to make that mistake on air.
Hey, I tell you what, if you're right, I'm gonna celebrate with you, and if you're wrong, we'll just talk about something different.
Yeah, we'll just pretend it never happened. I'm like, I don't know what I'll delete this episode. It's not out there no more.
That. Yeah.
Off YouTube. Thanks for the views. Never happened. See you guys later.
Yep.
But hey, guys, we're just talking to Brad Holmes. We're trying to look into a little bit more of what he's saying. We could just sit here and break down his interview all day. Is that entertaining? Or do you want us to look into some more of the stuff he says? If that's what you're into, hit that subscribe button. We'll be back later with some more content, guys.
Peace.